It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. I am your host, Jill Schlesinger. I'm a CBS News business analyst, and I am also a certified financial planner. And the reason why that's sort of important is not because I'm on the air trying to get business, because I don't do that and haven't done that for 15 years or so, but it does inform the approach that I have to trying to help you answer your financial questions. So when we have you get on the air with us, when we encourage you to come join us and tell your financial story, I ask a lot of nosy questions. But if you're shy, don't worry. You can just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and fill out the form. If you do want to join us on the air live, a couple of things that you can do. We can change your name. We can change your location. We can kind of protect you if you're nervous. But if you don't want to come on the air, don't worry. We'll read emails every now and again. We like to do that. And we are, in fact, going to do that a little bit today. Importantly, when you're on that website, just know that we've got a ton of content. We've got the free weekly newsletter. We've got my book, The Great Money Reset. We've got a subscription service, $35. You can join Jill on Money Live. That's where you have access to quarterly live webinars and lots of cool special bonus content. All right, so as promised, I do want to get to some emails. This is an email from Annie. So Annie's subject is, my husband passed, things were not in the best order. Okay. So there are accounts in various places, 10 places so far. Oh gosh, I found many from interest and dividend 1099 forms in my tax returns. Okay, but here's the issue. There were accounts online with no paper statements. Is there a way to find a deceased person's accounts and investments? There was no written will, but he did tell me his wishes, and I will follow them. Things are going through probate. If funds are found after probate is finished, how does that work? Thank you. First of all, Annie, I am so sorry because when this happens, you can see that it takes so much time and energy to settle an estate, and you don't really get to mourn the person. So poor Annie her husband has passed away and she's chasing documents down. You did exactly what I would have done to start with, which is go to your tax returns and you will see everything listed in 1099s. I would go back probably at least 5 years on those tax returns and look for 1099s and look for those organizations. Now, it's your husband, so ostensibly you signed that tax return. So that's one thing that I would do. And if you look at the process, the probate process, it's mostly for alerting people who you think might be owed money from an estate. That's kind of like the essence of probate. It's like, hello world, this person died. Anyone owed money from this person? You got to make a claim. That's how probate kind of works. It doesn't work to uncover assets. That's your job. I think the only thing that you can do is exactly what you're doing. I would get a very good attorney to help you through the process. But, oh gosh, gang, I cannot tell you how much this pains me because this is what is called a self-inflicted wound. This is not taking care of business. And I am just settling 2 estates right now. I cried on the phone with somebody recently, cried. I went from actually being angry and livid and yelling, and then it turned into crying because I was dealing with a large company, a very large national bank, one of the top 3 banks. I will not mention it because so far so good in getting this resolved. And they were essentially just not understanding that a deceased person held the mortgage. Ergo, that's why the mortgage payment was not made. And that we were selling a piece of property that would basically address it. But it just took too much time, too much energy. And I mean, I get it that many of these banks have to deal with deadbeats, but I think that my shrieked, "Do you know the difference between a deadbeat and a dead person?" is what I think I shrieked, Mark. How do you like that? They took me to the edge. And then I cried because I was just so frustrated. That's really what I can tell you. For anyone going through this, it's just devastating. It's just devastating. So I wish you the very best, Annie, and I really hope that you are getting some help from an attorney or someone who can help you with the administration. Okay, this is lovely. This is someone who attended a webinar that I did for a big company, and her name is Shannon. And she said, "Is there any advice that you have to appropriately label beneficiaries on most policies, like life insurance products? The issue is I would like to have minor children avoid having to go through probate. So, for example, my primary beneficiary is my husband. We have 2 minor children that I list as contingents, but heaven forbid something happened to both of us at the same time. I don't want them to have to go through probate and the court system. Do I list their UTMA accounts as the contingent beneficiaries or set up a will or a trust? Thank you so much. Love your show." First of all, thank you. So the first thing to remember is that when you're labeling a beneficiary, whether it's a retirement account, whether it's a life insurance policy, that means that the money is not going through probate, regardless of whether the person who's the beneficiary or the contingent is a minor or not. So a named beneficiary on a life insurance policy on a retirement account is not going to have to go through probate. However, because you have contingent beneficiaries who are minors, because you have children, I'm wondering, it's interesting. It's funny, you have a question about a will or a trust. Do you not have a will? Because everybody needs a will, right? And in that will, the big decision you have to make is not about the money, but who's going to take care of your kids. So if something bad happened to you and your husband together, then who is the guardian? The guardian would be responsible for the assets that flow to the children, but the will would identify who that person was and also the flow of money that the children would receive at what age. So at either the age of majority, which can be 18 or 23, depending on whether they go to college or not, and what you want. So my number one goal for everyone listening to this show is that you have 3 documents, and this is going to be nudgy Jill. Aunt Jill is nudging you right now. Number 1, a will. Number 2, a durable power of attorney. You assign the right for someone to make a business decision on your behalf. And number 3 is a healthcare proxy who's going to make a medical or a health decision on your behalf if you are unable to do so. You can do this online, but you can also go to an attorney. But in that will, what you would have to do is you would have to name someone the guardian of your kids. Okay? If you have a financial question, if you are grappling with a big decision, why don't you hit the website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Jill on Money will be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. I'm also trying to do this with a little bit of a sense of humor. Being a little entertaining also helps because I know money can be a really emotionally loaded topic. We understand that. We get it. We're all human beings. We're all programmed differently when it comes to money. If you've got a question, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Right now, let's do an email. This is from Mark. I have 14,000 shares of Apple stock, which represents about 40%, 40% of my net worth. Now, gang, I don't like that. I know it's worked out. Apple stock is amazing. 40% of your net worth? Oh my God. I'm using dividends to pay most of my property taxes, which are about $14,800 a year. My financial advisor is encouraging me to sell some shares by writing covered calls. What's your thought on this? I am retired. I make $100,000 a year in Social Security and investments. Well, covered calls is basically a strategy where you own the stock and you sell a derivative product against the stock that can either force you to sell or you collect the money. If the stock doesn't go up by enough, you collect the money of the option contract that you've sold. And, look, it can work for sure. There's no doubt that, using covered calls can work. But here's a more interesting question to ask. You make $100,000 a year, right? Are you married or single? We don't know. But let's say you're single, okay? Why not just sell some of it? Why not just sell some of the stock and pay 15% capital gains? Not a lot, but a little bit at a time. What's the downside of that? Your risk right now is, you didn't say how old you are, but your risk is that capital gains shift on you and that you have not been able to capture the amazing ride of Apple by selling. And would it be so bad? I mean, you've got $2.5 million in a stock. So maybe you got $5 million total. I don't even know if I'd mess around with covered calls. I just might sell some or give some away or if you're charitable, use it to fund a charitable gift fund. I don't know. I need to know more about you. But if you have $100,000 and you're in income and you're retired, I would much prefer to start selling some of this stock, just peeling off a little bit at a time so that you stay at the 15% capital gains rate. And let's see where you stand. I like that as a strategy better than covered calls. Anyway, this is from Tom, who says, my wife and I have some of our assets with Fidelity, and those are in bond funds. We're losing money. We want to make money without much risk. Can you advise? Yes, I can advise that when you invest in bond funds and bond prices go down, you lose money mark to market. It has nothing to do with Fidelity. It has to do with the asset class you're invested in. And so to me, this is one of those questions that really begs the bigger issue, which is you're investing in bond funds for what? For stability of income, for long term, to have a ballast, to create some interest and dividends from these bond funds over time. I don't really think it's a Fidelity problem. If you don't like bond funds, then you'll either be all in stocks, which you say you don't want because you want something that's safer, or you have to buy individual bonds, which you can buy right now. I mean, I'll tell you what, maybe I'd sell my bond funds and start buying some individual bonds. You hold them to maturity and you get your money back. And you don't have to worry about the fluctuations between now and the time they mature. But the other alternative is that you're just investing in cash equivalents, and they're paying great money right now, but they won't forever. Again, not a Fidelity problem, bond problem. I know that you have so many questions about bonds, and bonds are really in a very tumultuous period. Last year, they were down in price. This year, they are now also down in price because the 10-year Treasury is rising, the highest level in about a year right now as I record this. But what I want everyone to understand is just the way bonds work and why we use them. One of the things that you understand about bonds is that you're not buying them in the same way that you are buying stocks. You're buying bonds to create ongoing interest income or yield, right? And the way that bond funds and bonds in general are priced is against the prevailing rate of other bonds that are like them. So when bond yields are rising overall, the price goes down. Why? Of your bond. Because anyone can go out and buy a new issue bond and get a higher interest rate. That's all you have to remember. That's why we say, bond prices and their yields are usually inversely related. Okay. So what you need to think about as an investor is, why you buy bonds. It's not just for appreciation. In fact, it's for income. It's for stability. And yeah, the price can get hammered from time to time, last year, now this year. But overall, what we're hoping for is creating an asset class that acts differently than your other asset classes and does provide a ballast against the volatility. I know it hasn't worked last year, not working so much this year, but over the long term, it will work. Doug writes that they had an elder law attorney draft a will. And he said, we are 57 years old. And he said, it looks like the location where we drafted the will is gone. And now there's an office, which is an hour and a half from us. And we want an attorney that's closer to us within the 30-minute drive. How do I find a new reputable elder attorney near me to update our will and to help my 80-year-old mother-in-law to update a trust? Thank you for your time. Okay, Doug, I don't think you want an elder law attorney. I think you want an estate attorney. What I would do in your case is if you live in a smallish area, I would go to an accountant to kind of find out some names of folks, or you might want to go to other attorneys from in other areas. Like, do you know someone who's like a realtor who knows someone who's in real estate law? And you say, hey, does your firm have an estate attorney, a qualified estate attorney? That's what you need. I'd be very, very cautious about this category of attorneys called elder care, because they're usually the people who charge you a bunch of money to throw your house in a trust when you may not need that. So just be careful, okay? Tony writes, I retired a year ago. My wife has a pension net $28.35 per month. Tony says, I've got $1.8 million saved, $183,000 in checking, $247,000 in credit union. Healthcare is covered with my company retirement plan, and we spend about $6,000 a month. I'm 62. My wife is 61. I just want an expert opinion. First of all, Tony, I just absolutely adore the fact that you were able to write out all of those numbers, because that's how we in the media business like a nice script written for us. So thank you for that. Second, I think that when you look at your situation, $2,800 a month, and you spend $6,000 a month, what else do we have coming in? Well, I mean, you can spend a bunch of this money down, but when are you going to claim Social Security? Because obviously, if you want to spend $6,000 and you've got $2,800, and maybe you'll have another, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000 coming in from Social Security, should be okay, but you're going to have to spend some of that $1.8 million. If you retired a year ago and your wife has a pension, no one's working at all, I don't know, Mark, this is going to be toughy. They're going to have to spend money for like 5 years. They're going to have to spend, I think they're okay. I think they're going to have to take the money out of the 1.8 million account.
Even 3% out of that will generate about, I was doing the math, 3% out of that 1.8 plus the pension will give them about $7,300 a month.
So that seems good. I mean, I think that'll be all right for you. I really do. If you have a question, or maybe you need a little push, maybe you need a little coaching, all you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Jill on Money will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. We are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. If you've got something going on in your life and you need a bit of assistance, just give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. All I ask is that you let us know whether you'd be willing to come on the air live or not. Otherwise, just complete the form. We'll get your email. While you're on the website, don't forget, lots of cool stuff there, including the free weekly newsletter. Mark does such a great job of that. He compiles everything throughout the week, and you get that out on Fridays. Also, check out my blog, check out the resources section, and of course, you can always buy my book. It's called The Great Money Reset, all based on conversations that I had with you guys. Sometimes life does throw you for a loop, and that impacts your finances, and that is the case with our caller. This is Marie, whose husband is listening in, but we're not going to put him on the air because we like Marie better. Marie, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you both for having us. Recently, just listening to you guys, so we wish we've known you sooner.
That's all right. You're here with us now, which is lovely. What can we do? What's going on for you?
Thank you. Just wanted to start that we both came from immigrant backgrounds who grew up not too privileged and not really financially savvy. So we're trying to change that now for us. So we're currently navigating through some life changes. As I said in my email, I'm being laid off from work, but I was given a year's notice. So
Wow.
which is not, it's not too common. And so we're trying to see how to allocate our extra cash that we have. Like, it's not a lot, but I mean, we're going to come into some money next year, probably like my husband's bonus. Like, should I keep contributing to my son's 529 for now? Like, I'm not really sure what to do. Is it worth waiting for the full year to get like my severance? I mean, it's only like a 6-week severance pay, so it's probably not that much. So those are some of my questions. And also, we're currently renters here in LA, and we have a house in another state. Like, we're renting it out, not because we wanted a rental property, but because we had to move here last minute, and we had a house there. So I know, and here the market is so high cost. So I think it's going to take us forever to save up a house in LA.
And maybe you don't have to. Or maybe you just keep renting. Marie, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. And husband?
He's 32.
Oh, very smart of you. Go younger. All right. So right now they say to you, hey, we're laying you off in a year. Is that essentially what they're saying? You're going to get paid. You're going to work for a year, and then from the moment you get laid off, you get 6 weeks severance. Is that how it works?
Yes. So basically, hey, they're doing a lot of layoffs, as you know, most tech or big companies are right now. So, but they're like, hey, we need you in this project for the whole year. We have funding. So
I see. And then once that year is up, then you'll receive a 6-week severance.
Yeah. So they told me in July. So, but my last day would be like last day of August next year.
Okay. So it's August of 2024. How much are you earning right now, Marie?
I earn about $91,000.
Okay. And what about your husband?
He earns about $170,000.
Wow. You guys are kicking butt. That's amazing. How old's a kid?
He just turned 2.
Okay. And just one, right?
Just one.
Okay.
One and done, probably.
One and done. The Mark Talercio plan of action. Okay. At this point, can you live on just one salary? Just, I know you're still making your $91,000.
LA prices, probably not.
All right. That's fine.
I mean, maybe if I have him home and not pay for daycare and like.
How much is daycare, by the way?
It's like $1,500.
As it stands today, let's just do what's happening right now, and then we're going to project forward. Right now, is your intention to stay there the year? But if you got another job, would you just jump ship and give up that severance? Like, presuming you could get a job you wanted.
Yeah. So
yeah, I would do that.
I'd do that, but it's just so hard right now. I think the market's kind of tough.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Are you guys making retirement plan contributions off of your salaries right now?
Yes. Not as much as your callers are maxing out. No, definitely can't.
Whatever.
Do it right
Who cares
now.
about them? I only care about you. I'm on the phone with you. What do I care about them for?
Yes.
So how much are you putting into retirement?
So I'm putting in 7% with a 6%, 100% match from employer. I'm doing Roth, and I think their match is traditional.
Okay.
And I think my husband does 5%, and I think he gets 4% match with Roth, but I'm not sure where the match is.
How much money do you think you have in these plans right now? About?
I have about 50,100.
Mm-hmm. And that's in yours or
That's
or
in mine.
his?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about his?
He has about 36.
And you got a puppy. And what about how much money? You mentioned the 529. What are you putting into that 529 right
I
now?
stopped maybe a couple months ago when I got the news, but
Good.
he has about 6,000 in there right now.
And what about money in the bank?
We have around 60,000 in emergency funds.
Great. That's amazing. We'll get to the rental property, but any other assets? Do you have a stock plan? Is there a brokerage account? Anything else besides that emergency reserve and the retirement?
We both have rollovers and from previous employees and some Roth that we started previously.
Okay. What's the rollover situation?
He has around 35,500 from a previous employer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have around 3,300. And for our Roths, he has about 12,400, and I have about 7,800. And then our
great
brokerage, he has about 5,600, and I have about 12,600.
All right. And that brokerage just you started for the heck of it or whatever? Like,
yeah, when we were, pre-baby, we were like learning about investing and stuff. So we like, let's contribute this much every month, so we're dollar cost average. It's really small amount, like 100 per. And then I also had some stocks at work. So I guess that's my other thing. I'm contributing 7% right now also for ESPP.
No, stop doing that immediately. That'll help your cash flow. We'll get back to Marie in just a minute, but I would like to point out that sometimes when you have bad news from out of the blue, you can turn it into something different, and we can help you. Just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here answering your financial questions. Sometimes they're life questions that have financial implications, sometimes a little bit of everything. As you know, so much of what happens in your real life has a financial impact. So if that's you, you can just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get your note. If you'd like to join us on the air live, then just check the box, and Mark does everything else. Let's get back to Marie from California. What's the old house worth where you are renting right now? Tell me a little bit about like what the value is, what's the mortgage, and how much rent do you receive?
The mortgage right now, it's around $434,000.
Do you know the interest rate of the mortgage?
Yeah, it's 2.88.
Oh my God. Okay. How much is it worth?
According to Zillow, I'm not really sure. It's 512 to 577.
I could say 525,000. And is it rented? Is that working for you guys?
Yeah, we're renting it out to a couple, and then we had a 2-year lease with them, but it's ending pretty soon. So funny enough, it was a rental it was a new construction. So by the time when we left, we had no assessment yet for our taxes. Mm-hmm. So right now, when we were already here, it's like, hey, here's your taxes. Your escrow money is not enough. It wasn't enough. You're like really negative. So we'd like to have you put up a year and a half's worth of escrow of taxes. So right now we're doing that. That's why it's really tight. Basically, it's not really cash flowing right now.
Wait a second. How much money do we have to put up in escrow?
It's about 18,000, I think.
But once we get that settled, and by the way, you can.
Yeah, it's going to be done in like 4 months.
All right. So then it'll be okay, right?
So that's why I'm like, okay, so hopefully we'll have additional cash flow at the time.
Yeah.
What should we do?
Okay. Let me ask another couple of questions. Is there any notion that you guys would move back to that house?
Right now, for the industry that my husband's in, the reason why we moved here also, there's not too much in. We used to live in Chicago, and there's not too much in there for his industry. They're almost all here in the West Coast.
All right. Okay.
Probably not anytime soon.
All right. I mean, that, by the way, because you have that house, and if it's in not anytime soon and you're happy where you are, then that's fine. So I think in the near term, you've got to use the next year to look for a job, but also to beef up your that emergency reserve fund a little bit. Is there any other debt that's outstanding besides that mortgage? Do you have a car loan or anything? I want to get that all cleared up.
Yeah, I mean, we have around 40,000 in car loan,
Okay.
and around 1,400 in miscellaneous, but it's like 0% right now. But our car loan is at 2.49%.
Well, that's good.
We're not sure if we have to rush paying that off.
Nah, you don't have to. But you have miscellaneous like credit card crap?
No, it's basically our Peloton.
Oh, you paid off the Peloton. Who do you like to take? Who's your Peloton instructor? Who do you like?
It's basically collecting dust right
No,
now.
no. Go sell it on the secondary market. Go pop it
Yeah,
on
we're
eBay.
trying to. There's so many.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
All right.
it's at 0% right now, and there's like around 1,400.
Get your ass on that bike, girl.
I know. Yes, I need that advice, especially what's going to happen to me. And
All right. So I think the number one. So there's two things that are going to help your cash flow. We're going to stop the ESPP. That's 7%. That's real money to you. Then the escrow is also going to end, right?
escrow ends in 4 months.
Okay,
around
so
end of year.
if we stop these two things, that should give you a little bit of breathing room, right? I'm wondering, you already stopped the 529. Maybe I don't want to go crazy with this because I think you're going to get a job. You'll be fine. But I mean, I would probably stop doing money in the brokerage account. That $100 a month in the brokerage account. I would just pop it into your emergency reserve fund, and let's beef that up. So what I'd like to happen for you guys is that you use the next year to beef up the emergency reserve just in case. Like maybe you find a great job, but it's not 90 grand. Maybe it's 70 grand. And maybe that's fine. That's okay. I mean, working is important for you. And to manage your lifestyle, we got to have you working. So that argues for beefing up the emergency reserve just in case you might need it. The goal when you have a situation like this is to play defense. Do you guys like sports? I mean, I'm like the old aging athlete. If I can use a sports metaphor, I always do.
My husband likes sports, so that works for him.
All right, good. So we are beefing up our defense right now, meaning that we know that the momentum is going to shift in this game. And the shift is that we know that in a year or 11 months, that your job will come to an end. But before that time, you're going to actually have some help. You're going to have help in your cash flow. You'll stop the employee stock purchase plan. By the beginning of next year, you'll be done with that escrow, and you'll use extra money to essentially beef up the emergency reserve fund. So stop the $100 a month in the brokerage. Just that, all that you need to think about is let's get that thing built up. We'll finish up with Marie in just a moment. If you would like to come on the air and tell us about what's going on for you and get a second opinion, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com. Jill on Money. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's finish up with our pal Marie. Now, the car loan, I don't know, how much longer do you have on the car loans?
I think around 3 or 4 years.
I mean, 2.5% is not bad. Are you getting, are your emergency reserves getting 4% or something? Are you in an account where you're making some money?
Yeah, it's in high yield savings.
Good. I mean,
around 4 to 5%. Yeah.
perfect.
Right now.
Then I think that's fine. And then all that you really need to think about, you have to be able to get a job that will allow you to live your life. During this 1 year, I have another suggestion for you, and that is to really track your money and where it's going and to get a sense of your cash flow so that you really, really can, I think, get a better handle on what kind of job that you could get and still float your life. That's the most important thing. It really is. And I really feel strongly that you're going to be in great shape. It's funny. You say, we come from immigrant backgrounds. We didn't learn about this. You guys are in very, very good shape. You've done an amazing job.
I feel like our retirement fund is kind of small.
You're young, Marie. Come on, you got to cut yourself. Stop judging. I tell you, if I say you're in good shape, I'm not going to tell you that you're in good shape if you're not. You're in very good shape. You are able to manage this. You guys have money. You're very early in this story. Okay, we're very, very early in the story of your lives. Presuming that you get a job where you're making $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, you'll just get back on track. Once you get back on track and, you have a little bit of flexibility and you also have a little bit more knowledge about what your next step is, then we would slowly start to push up your retirement contributions. If you'd like to join us, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, fill out the form, and we'll do everything else. The Jill on Money Show has a whole nother hour, and we will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's hour number 2 of the Jill on Money Show. If you've got a financial question, all you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. While you're there, check out all the cool stuff that lives there, like my blog and other shows. Check it out, podcasts too. Right now, let's start the hour with Chris, who's from Boston.
Yeah, so I was listening to one of your previous episodes where the caller was talking about paying off his student debt, and the interest rate was at a 4.4% interest rate, and you gave him the financial blessing to start paying off that debt sooner, which got me thinking about my own situation where, at what point in time does the financial spreadsheet outweigh the kind of mental relief of paying off your debt sooner?
You know what? I totally get that because it does weigh on you. When you look at a lot of confidence surveys about financial situations, debt that hangs over for many years, it can be really debilitating. I get it. So, Chris, what is the outstanding amount of your student loans?
So the outstanding amount is about $59,000.
And private or federal?
It's private.
And what's the interest rate?
2.95%.
Oh, low. That's good.
Yes, it was.
That's good.
I was very happy with that.
Okay. I know you hate it though, right?
I do, yes.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. So you accumulated this debt. Was this undergrad or graduate or a little of both?
It was a little bit of both, and I ended up taking him private in 2018, and that was originally $107,000 for a 15-year loan at 2.95%.
Wow, you've done a really good job of smacking that down.
Yep, it's one of those things where I've gone through phases where I'm definitely overpaying when I can, and then I know the value of a dollar right now is worth a lot more when I'm older. So what's hard for me is I keep kind of flip-flopping back and forth between plans.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So, Chris, are you single? Are you partnered? What's going on for you?
I am married, yes.
You're married.
Yep.
And are you married to someone who makes a lot of money?
Not a lot. I would say we live comfortably. Between the two of us, our income is anywhere from 235 to 255,000.
That's good. All right. Does your spouse have debt as well?
So, yes, and she originally had a loan for 125,000. It's currently at a 6.8% interest rate, and it's up. Yes, and it's up to 144,000.
Oh my God, we got to worry about her. Okay,
but
but
so it gets a little bit more complicated because she's on a forgiveness program where she has about 4 years left. So she's made about 68 of 120 qualified payments. So she's just paying bare minimum.
Yes.
With the hope that it's just relieved.
Okay. But that's important because that gives you some breathing room. Because that must make you nuts. Till that's gone, that's going to make you crazy, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. What are you guys doing in terms of retirement? Are you using workplace retirement plans? Does she have a pension benefit, or what's going on?
Yeah, so we both do have retirement accounts. I can run through mine if that's easier first.
Sure.
So I have it's a little all over the place, but I have a Vanguard account that my brokerage has about 30,000 in it. Okay. I have a rollover IRA with 35,000, a Roth IRA with 44,000, and then from a previous employer, this is with ADP, I have 44,000.
And that's still in their 401k?
Yes, and that's 37 in the Roth 401k, and the rest is in pre-tax.
So in your current plan, are you using a Roth or a pre-tax?
So I'm maxing it out with at 20%, and 15% is going to Roth and 5% is going to pre-tax.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't combine your old 401k at ADP to your current job?
No, I have to go through the process of cleaning that up. I'm going to end up moving my rollover IRA and my ADP one to my current employer so I can take advantage of backdoor Roth IRA.
Yeah, great. Okay, so that's good. So you got a chunk of money. How old are you, Chris?
35.
And your wife?
She is 33.
So now, what about your wife's retirement? Tell us about that, or her accounts, let's say.
Yep. So she has 65,000 in a 403b, and she's currently contributing 16% with a 2% match. And she has, I guess I would call it somewhat of a pension. It's a consolidated cash balance plan at 4% annual salary, which has about 21K in it right now.
The cash balance plans are usually the old pension plans that were converted. They're not as good as like if she worked for the state of Massachusetts, it would be a more robust plan, chances are. Okay. Yep. But it doesn't mean anything. It's like there's still money there. So that's all good. And she's going to stay in this plan for a while. And what about you? Do you feel like you are a little bit more of the wanderlust guy? Chances are you could move around, or what? Not with your wife. I'm talking about your job.
Yes. No, I gotcha. Yeah, I've had a couple of career switches, but, always seem to land on my feet, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys own or do you rent right now in Boston?
So we own.
Tell me about the place you own.
Yeah, I bought a place about 4 years ago. Redfin estimates anywhere from 525 to 550, but I would put it at about 500K.
Okay.
There's 339,000 left on that, and that's a 3% 30-year.
Do you think you'll stay in this place?
No, ideally we would buy a different place, but hang on to this for rental properly. I mean, I think it could, cash flow at least conservatively $1,000 a month after everything.
Do you guys have kids?
Nope, and we are not having any.
How about money in the bank?
In total we have about 75,000.
So when you look ahead and you look at like everything that you have. I know the debt bothers you, but besides the debt, you feel pretty good because it seems to me like you're in a good place. Are you feeling pressure?
It's not that I feel pressure, but it's making sure that I am doing the right things and that the pendulum isn't swinging to one side versus the other. I mean, right now, the cash flow is pretty good on a monthly basis. And, what I've been doing is I've been putting about $1,200 a month into a brokerage account, split between total market index and then a high yield dividend, with the thought of that. If my yield is a little bit higher than what the interest rate on my student loan is, it kind of helps me sleep better at night. But, I'm just in the mindset that I want to get rid of this loan as quickly as possible.
I know. We'll get back to Chris in just a minute. It's the Jill on Money Show. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. Now, before we went to the break, I was talking about all the great content that lives on our website at JillOnMoney.com. Let me tell you a little bit about it. There are 2 podcasts. There is a free weekly newsletter. There's a blog of all the different things that I've been thinking about and writing about recently. There's also a resources section. But if you've got a few bucks to spare, you can buy my book, The Great Money Reset. And you can also subscribe to our new service, new-ish service, I would say. It's called Jill on Money Live for $35. Yeah, just $35. You are invited to join us for quarterly live webinars. We just did a great webinar with Nate Burleson. He is one of the anchors of CBS Mornings, a colleague of mine. He also was a former NFL player. We talked about what it was like to get all that money as a professional athlete and what he did with it and how he got involved in personal finance. It was great. So check it out, Jill on Money Live, $35 for 4 webinars and lots of special bonus content. Right now, let's get back to Chris from Boston. If you were to move, let's say, give me a time horizon on a potential move.
2-3 years.
Okay, so in 2 to 3 years, you move out of the city or you move into something bigger. What do you think you would need to spend?
It would be in the city. It would likely be around $1 million.
See, the thing that's weird about that, not that particular number, but the wrinkle it puts in my thinking around this, and I'll get Mark's opinion also, is that it makes it hard for me to want to pay down your debt because it almost feels like, like, why am I paying down a 3% note when I really need to accumulate some money? But on the other hand, I'm hearing that they're just like bummed about this. Mark, can we pay down this 3% student loan and let Chris have a little emotional freedom or not?
I mean, I wouldn't do it. I know it's driving him nuts.
I know. That's why we have to think about it.
I don't think it's the right financial move, especially with, going from a $500,000 house to $1 million house. And it's not like they're selling the house. They're going to keep it. So they got to come up with a lot of cash between now and then.
Right. And so you see our conundrum here that if you're going to move in 2 or 3 years and it's $1 million place, we need to get 200 or 300 grand accumulated. Now you have $30,000. I don't even know if you're going to be able to hold on to the current property and hold it as rental income, because how are we going to get you into this house without a decent down payment?
Yeah, it's a fair point, and again, 2-3 year would be the goal, but this is kind of the first year where we're really focusing on squirreling away as much as we can. So it's something that'll be reassessed.
Is there a number at which you're going to feel less bad about your student loan? Like if it were 35,000, would you feel better right now? Like is there some number under which you would be like, oh, okay, that's okay. I can carry that. Is there something that you're in your brain you could think about?
Zero.
Oh my God. Jesus.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think it's just something where I'm the personality where I don't like having that debt over me. I mean, even when I do the calculations out, I think it's only like 5,000 in interest over the course of the loan, the rest of it. So,
yeah.
Grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. I understand.
Okay. Our first bit of advice would be don't pay it off. If you are actually like, you know what, I'm going to pay this off, Jill. Tough luck, right? Tell me about that brokerage account. It has 30 grand in it, right? And I want to know, is there a tax liability in that account? Do you have tax gains or losses in that brokerage account?
Right now in total, I think it's losses.
Mark, you're going to hate this. The guy's going to pay this off. Okay. So I'm sort of like, if you already know now where our preference is, don't pay it off. If you are going to pay it off, blow out of the brokerage account, grab those losses right now, take the 30 grand and pay down the loan, cut it in half, and then keep going. Don't do another big chunk. And then you've got to just build up your liquid assets so you can buy a house, and just know in the back of your head that it may be that you can't keep the current place. You may need to sell that and come up with for your down payment, and you may need to delay by, instead of 2 to 3 years, maybe 3 to 5 years. So that's the thing. Like, I don't really want you to do it, but I hear that you're going to do it. So let's be smart about it. Let's grab your losses, and then we can replenish, and the $1,200 a month goes back into the brokerage account. Start from zero.
What's the minimum payment that your wife is making on her loan?
I think it just got renewed. I mean, it's only, I think it's like $600 or $700 a month.
So they're going to end up having, Mark, $2,000 a month in a few years. So, if the emotional weight of carrying that is so annoying to you that you're willing to forego moving in 2 or 3 years and making it more like 3 to 4 years, then so chill. Then pay it down. Use the brokerage account. Do not use the money in the bank account. Keep that 75 grand. Okay? Because you need that. And then all the cash flow goes into rebuilding, and it will not, you'll say to yourself, I know it's not the smartest thing in the world. Financially, it's not the smartest thing, but it makes me sleep better at night, and that's worth a lot. And that is okay with me.
Okay. And I think, I mean, I hadn't really thought about that, about just cutting it in half. But another thing that I recently started doing, which is actually probably allowing me to sleep better at night, is I opened up a new high yield savings account, and it is specifically for a new home. And any interest that's accrued in that account, I'm putting it towards the student loan. So it incentivizes me to save more to that account, because then I will be able to pay more towards the student loan at the end of the month. Dude,
you are playing some mental gymnastics there. Your back bend is beautiful, and your round off back handspring is even better. So awesome. Look, you could play whatever game you want, but you know that, like, at the end of the day, Mark, is this not a Terry situation? It's making me laugh. We have a friend from work at CBS who's like, would play these games with us. Well, what if I did this? I'm like, you're going to pay off this mortgage. I get it, Terry. Like, I love you, and let's just make that happen. And so, Chris, I'm going to say the same thing. I don't love you yet, but I'm falling in love with you already. I get it. You hate this thing. Let's at least make a dent in it, so that you don't have to play as much mental gymnastics, unless you'd like that, and move on. And it's okay. This is what I've been saying all along in this show. Sometimes we do not have to make you the most financially savvy decision maker at every turn, because there are emotions that are clearly at play here. And so we understand that. So I want to satisfy that for you, Chris. I really do. So to do that,
I appreciate it.
I get it. Look, there's many times where I've said this on the show before, like, my greatest mistake financially is that I'm very wimpy. I do not like risk. had I taken on more investment risk earlier in my life, I would be richer. And yet I was very, very content with the decision I made because I don't like big downs and I don't really enjoy big ups that much. So I am your classic balanced investor. And sadly, I've been that balanced investor for a long time. So, whereas people move towards balanced investor, I should have been more growth, but it didn't matter to me. I would rather work an extra year or two to make up the differential. And that was the deal that I made with myself. So if you're willing to make that deal with yourself, Chris, you say, I don't have to optimize my financial decisions. The debt really bums me out. We're going to be debt free. You're going to probably be debt free in the next few years anyway. By the time that your wife is done, your loan is going to be it's going to be peanuts. Look, who knows? Maybe you'll be making more money and maybe, things could change in your life. As long as you're willing to make the trade-off, which is I would like to feel relief on an emotional basis in exchange for maybe delaying that home purchase by a year or two, then go ahead and do that. It's fine. Nothing bad's going to happen to you.
All right. I appreciate that advice. Thank you very much.
If you have something going on in your financial life and need a little assistance, well, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Jill on Money will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And if you're the kind of person who's a little shy about your finances, then don't worry. You can always ask us a question through our website, JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. Here's an email from Sandra. I am 66 and 1 month old. I would like to retire next year. Should I put my money now in a Roth IRA? I want to put my money somewhere where I don't have to pay a fee to take out the money in my account. I have $36,000 in a 401k and $350,000 in a rollover IRA. And it's managed. I'm paying a fee to have it managed. What's my best solution? Well, Sandra, if you're going to retire next year, I don't know if you need to put the money in the Roth right now. Here's what I'd like to know. Number one is when you retire, is this chunk of money, this $36,000 plus the $350,000, this almost $400,000, is this money you're going to need to withdraw to live on? Will you have a pension? Will your Social Security be kicking in and providing you the income you need? I mean, generally speaking, an idea that you might want to consider is that if you have some Social Security income, if you've got some money outside of retirement, if you think that you don't need to claim your benefits this minute for Social Security because you might have a pension, it is possible that we could start pulling some of your money out right now and pay in a lower tax bracket. But we do need some more information. Again, if you're sending us these questions, I love them, but please send us as much information as you can. Barry writes about a reverse mortgage. And he says, I'm 71 years old and I'm considering getting a reverse mortgage. I have no heirs, and I realize that this is simply a line of credit against my house. But since I have no heirs, it might be worthwhile to get some money out at closing and then $880 a month for 15 years. I'd love you tackling this product. Listen, reverse mortgages have gotten a ton better. And so I guess the big question is, do you need this money? Do you need this money to live on? And if you don't have any heirs, I don't see a huge downside to this. But I would make sure that you have an attorney who can help walk you through what the issues are. Because it is great to get the money, but I want to know, what would happen if you needed to go to a facility? What other money do you have? There are some other considerations to at least weave into the story. It is true that a reverse mortgage, which used to be a horrible and expensive and very confusing product, has gotten so much better. And, it is worth considering as an option, especially if you need cash flow. Okay? Terry writes, I'm 75. My spouse will be 68 in later this year. Terry said, I retired when I was 62 and I took Social Security at that time. That means, remember, when you take Social Security early, you have a permanently lowered benefit. I have also been drawing on a FERS, meaning a pension through the government, and my IRAs. My wife worked for a state university medical center for 22 years. She retired 20 years ago. She has not drawn her pension. We had $1.2 million in all accounts combined when I retired. Our accounts are now down, oh my gosh, to $500,000 to $600,000. That's a serious haircut, man. That's halved. Wow. We refinanced a 15-year mortgage for a 30-year about 3.5 years ago. At the time, we still had a child in college, so we needed and wanted better cash flow without drawing upon our IRAs. Now that he's graduated, we no longer have that expense, so we put $1,000 a month towards principal only. Question, should we continue to put $1,000 a month towards principal? The house is worth about $700,000. The remaining mortgage is just about $200,000. We love our home and setting. It's too much house and yard for people our age. We think we should downsize. However, the closest child lives almost 800 miles away. My wife hasn't started drawing her Social Security. Is it prudent not to draw until she's 70 so that her payout will increase? Or should we start drawing Social Security so we don't have to draw much out of the IRAs? We currently are withdrawing $4,200 a month from the IRAs. That's, boy, Mark, that's the, there it is, right? Excuse me. So let's just go through this. So Terry's 75, spouse is 68, okay? And now they have a retirement account. They have retirement accounts that are worth $500,000 to $600,000. Here's what I think. She hasn't drawn on her pension yet, and she has not drawn on her Social Security yet. So the question is, she's got 2 more years. Mark, do we try to take some more money out of the retirement account and then let her max out at 70, and then also, so hopefully that the Social Security plus her pension help basically obviate the need for taking more money out?
Perhaps. I mean, they're taking $50,000 out now from a $500,000 to $600,000 account. They should only be taking about $20,000 at most. I mean, this is not a good trajectory.
No, it's not. So what but they do have that $1,000 a month. Stop paying your money, that principal. Don't certainly do not use $1,000 a month towards principal, because if you're going to think about selling, then that's a very bad decision. So let's use that $1,000 a month and reduce the amount of money you're pulling from your IRAs from $4,200 to $3,000. Okay, that's number one. I think that I need to know. Let me ask you this. Going back at you, Terry. If you had your wife claim Social Security and you had your wife claiming her pension, would that then negate the need for drawing from your IRAs? If the answer is yes, then I'm going to say just go for it. I think you're right, Mark. We have to preserve that $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, she's 68, so it's not like she's 62.
Right.
I would start taking Social Security. They got to stop with this IRA.
I think so. That's it just shows you like you can really deplete yourselves over the course of 10 or 12 years, which is why those are incredibly important decisions to make, right?
And hello, if someone's managing this should be communicated to them. They're taking out too much money.
Well, maybe it has been. I don't want to throw the broker under the bus yet. Maybe, but anyway, I'm going to try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Ha! What's that like? It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's take an email from Susan. Okay, Susan was widowed 13 and a half years ago, and she says, I have tried to educate myself since my husband's death, but feel inadequate in my knowledge. I listened to you talk to other listeners, and it sounds like ETFs and index funds are the way to go. I barely glanced at my monthly statements. I thought I was mostly in ETFs, but I realized the majority of my investments are in mutual funds. And she says, when I Googled the difference, I realized they cost more. I have a financial advisor. I just talked to him last week. He said, I am in mostly exchange traded funds. I hired this advisor 2 years ago. He's a CFP and a fiduciary. He charges me 1% of my assets. My previous advisor flipped me to 70% bonds, 30% stocks when the pandemic hit. So I lost out on the gains. These people with their market timing. Susan is 64. She would love to retire at 65. She says, I don't think this is realistic. Okay, here's what she gets. She will start receiving survivor benefits this month, $21.67 a month. It is reduced because she's still working. Okay, here's what she's got. About $740,000 pre-tax IRA, $173,000 in a brokerage, almost $40,000 in a beneficiary IRA from her mom who passed away in 2020. And she said, the plan is to draw from this account first when I retire. I'll have 5 years to still withdraw. I am starting the required withdrawals dictated by the Secure Act. Okay. I have an inherited annuity as well. It's worth $30,000. I'll be withdrawing from in the next 3 years. $16,000 in a 403B. It's pre-tax, and she's contributing 6%. Gets a little match on that. $137,000 in online savings, $29,000 in a money market account. She makes $40,000 a year. She updated her estate documents. She wanted to get my thoughts on can she retire at her full retirement age of 66 and 10 months and be okay? Is the large amount of my IRA mutual funds, is it reasonable? I wish I could retire when I turn 65 next year. I'm tired of working and being responsible for everything. I don't have support, kind of tired of doing everything on my own. And she owns a condo. It's worth $290,000. She's got $143,000 on her mortgage. The rate's low, 3.25%, needs updating. It is the first home I purchased since my husband's death, and it's the first time I took out a mortgage. I had purchased 2 other homes with cash, and my condo value has gone up by $40,000 since buying it in 2021. And she says, I'm thinking I can sell it, make a profit, rental until I retire. And if I stay, I have to do the upgrades. I don't think I'll ever recoup the money. 3 grown children. 2 still depend on me for financial help every now and again. The other one is totally independent. No pension, health care's through work. Thanks for taking the time. All right. So, one thing that she didn't mention was how much she needs to live on. But she's making $40,000 a year. I don't think there's a problem here. I mean, you're going to have, first of all, you make $40,000 a year right now. Then you're going to start pulling money out of your retirement account, out of your inherited account. You'll use that money to, I think essentially pad the money in that first year that you'll probably when you're not working. I think I would just use that and basically say that's 40. Now I'm not working for a year. I've got 40 coming in. That's 1 year down. And then you file for your Social Security after that, at your full retirement age. I think you kind of make it here. And it seems to me that you're a little bit in your head around this. You've got a lot of money. You're not living. Again, you didn't tell me how much money you need to live on. But if you're making $40,000 a year and not pulling a lot of money out right now from these other accounts, you should be fine. In terms of the condo, if you wanted to sell it and rent, that's fine. But, you got to make sure that you can rent something that's reasonable. And maybe it makes more sense to just stay where you are until you retire and then do it. I don't know. That's more of like a quality of life question. If your advisor has told you that you're mostly in exchange traded funds, then that's fine. there's nothing wrong with that. That seems like it's just okay. I think that you are really making yourself a little crazy. Given the numbers you've said it, presuming you're not spending a ton of money more than that 40 grand that you're earning, I think you're fine. I think you're fine. Unless I'm missing something, you can follow up. Okay, this is from Anonymous who wants to know what to do with savings from a home sale. Okay, we have around $26,000 in savings, and I will be making $43,000 from an upcoming home sale. Our current debts include 2 car loans, 64 grand. Oh my God. And upcoming student loans, which will be $65,000. All debts are 5% or less in terms of interest rates. We only have $10,000 saved for retirement, but we will be getting a pension of $77,000 a year when I retire. What should we do with the money? So first of all, it probably makes sense that you beef up your emergency reserves a little bit in terms of your income, how much your actual expenses are, and all of that. But you probably need a little bit more money in savings. Try to get 6 months of your expenses in there. Then once you do that, I would take the most expensive of the 2 car loans and chip away at that and see if we can get rid of that. I mean, $1,200 a month is a lot for a car loan. So if they're very low interest rates, fine. But just I would say that if it's a 5% loan, then I would absolutely start to get rid of that as quickly as possible. As soon as we can get rid of some of this debt, then start saving more for retirement because you'll need some supplemental retirement. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Now, we're coming to the end of the show, and I do want to remind you that if you ever have a question, we always are here for you. Just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. So this is an email from Sally, who writes, "We're 69 and in good health. My husband has handled all of the family affairs for 35 years and has done quite well. But I am growing concerned about taking over should he pass away before I do. We do have an estate attorney, so the wills and other documents are in order. But what are some resources I could study to help me make a plan of action should this unfortunate situation occur?" Well, Sally, this is a great question. I think the first thing that I would do is have a conversation with your husband about everything that is going on. And this means that he needs to be patient with you, especially for someone who's been taking over the reins for 30 years or 40 years. It's a lot of stuff in his brain. And I would encourage you guys to really sit down and take a look at what you have amassed together, and also to really make a determination whether or not you would want to handle these things on your own. So it can be anything from bill paying. It could also be the investments. It could be the relationships with certified public accountants or bookkeepers and the estate attorneys. And to some extent, maybe just going through a process of creating a financial plan together would be a valuable thing for you to consider. And I think that's a good point for everybody. When one person holds the reins for all the family's affairs, you need to share information. So maybe conducting a financial plan is the best thing you could do. Well, okay, that's it. That is our program. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and web king. Please try to lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.